Hey everyone, and welcome. So, let's talk about turning your ASP.NET Core application into a digital fortress. We're going to go layer by layer and show you exactly how to protect it from all the modern threats out there. Let's dive right in. So, picture this. You've just pushed your latest project live. It's fast, the UI is beautiful, but is it actually secure? In today's world, that's probably the most important question you can ask, because an unsecured app is basically leaving the front door wide open for trouble. You see, the key to really good security isn't just one single tool or trick. It's not a silver bullet. It's a series of defensive layers, just like a real medieval fortress. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to build that blueprint piece by piece. And here's our plan of attack. We'll start at the very front, the front gate, which is all about identity. Then we'll secure the crown jewels in the digital vault. After that, we build the walls and set some traps for common attacks, manage the flow with crowd control, and finally, we'll put a guard in the Watchtower with monitoring. Okay, first things first. Every single fortress needs a strong front gate. For our app, that gate is all about identity management. It boils down to controlling who gets in, and just as important, what they're actually allowed to do once they're inside. So, the first challenge at the gate is authentication. Think of this as the guard asking to see your ID. In the world of apps, it's the process of proving a user is who they claim to be, maybe with a password or a security token. It all comes down to answering one simple question: are you who you say you are? Right, so once someone's been authenticated, we hit the next step, authorization. Just because you made it past the front gate doesn't mean you get to waltz into the king's private chambers, right? Authorization is what decides what an authenticated user has permission to do. It asks, okay, you're in, but are you allowed in this specific room? So let's put it really simply. Authentication is all about identity, who you are, and authorization is all about permissions, what you can do. You absolutely cannot have the second without the first. Nail this distinction and your front gate is going to be solid. And one of the beautiful things about ASP.NET Core is how it separates these two ideas in the code. In your configuration files, that's where you set up how to authenticate people. Then, in your actual application code, you use these really simple attributes like authorize to say what is protected. It's a super clean system for enforcing the rules of your fortress. Okay, now that we're controlling who gets in, we have to protect the really valuable stuff inside. The crown jewels. This brings us to the digital vault. This is where we keep things like API keys, database connection strings, all the sensitive credentials. Protecting these secrets is really a two-step process. Look, when you're in development, just building things out, it's fine to use environment variables to keep secrets out of your source code. But for production, you have to level up. You have to use a dedicated hardened service like Azure Key Vault or AWS Secrets Manager. This is the digital equivalent of a bank vault for your app's most critical data. All right, our gate is secure and our vault is locked tight. Now it's time to build the walls and set a few traps. These are our active defenses, and they're designed to stop the most common tactics that attackers use to try and breach your application. The first trap we're setting is for an old, but still incredibly deadly, attack: SQL Injection. This is where an attacker tries to sneak database commands into your input fields. The good news? The defense is pretty much built into modern ASP.NET Core. If you're using Entity Framework with link or parameterized queries, you're basically protected by default. The golden rule here is simple: never, ever trust user input. Two other big threats you'll hear about are cross-site scripting, or XSS, and cross-site request forgery, CSRF. And again, the framework gives you the tools you need. For XSS, Razor automatically encodes HTML, which neutralizes malicious scripts. And for CSRF, you just enable anti-forgery tokens, and that validates that any requests are legit and are actually coming from your app. Now, this one is huge. And honestly, it's non-negotiable. Enforce HTTPS. Always. Think of it like an encrypted, invisible shield around all communication between your user and your app. By enabling something called HSTS, you're telling browsers to only communicate with your site securely, which stops anyone from eavesdropping. A fortress can be breached not just by one clever attacker, but also by just an overwhelming mob. And that is why we need crowd control. This is all about managing the flow of requests to prevent your application from getting flooded, whether it's malicious or just accidental. So here are your main tools for managing that crowd. Rate limiting is what prevents a single user from just hammering your API with too many requests. An API gateway, well, it's like a bouncer at the front door, filtering traffic before it even gets to your app. And a web application firewall, or WAF, that's like an extra layer of guards that can spot and block known attack patterns automatically. Our fortress is almost complete. We have one last crucial piece. See, walls and gates aren't enough if there's no one on watch. This brings us to the Watchtower. This is the ongoing process of monitoring, of placing sentries who are always watching and logging everything that happens. And here's the bottom line. Security isn't just about building walls, it's about visibility. You just can't stop a threat you can't see. Without logging and monitoring, you're basically defending your fortress with a blindfold on, and you'll never see an attack coming until it's way too late. So what does good monitoring actually look like? Well, it means using structured logging with tools like Serilog. It means feeding all that data into a system like Application Insights or an ELK stack. And most importantly, you need to be tracking key security events like failed logins and setting up alerts that ping you the second something unusual is happening. 157. What is this number? This is the real number of failed login attempts against a single user account in just 1 hour. It's a classic brute force attack. Without monitoring, this is just invisible noise. With monitoring, it is a blaring alarm bell going off. This is why you need a Watchtower. Ultimately, this is the core philosophy we've built our entire fortress on. You don't just buy security and you're done. You build it, you maintain it, and you constantly improve it. It's a continuous process of managing all these different layers of defense, from that front gate all the way up to the Watchtower. So, we've laid out the entire blueprint for a secure application, from the front gate to the Watchtower. The only question left is, when you look at your own fortress, your own application, which layer are you going to reinforce first?